Now, over the last few years, one man has been at the center of some of the biggest and most controversial stories in politics, and his websites have helped usher in a new era of conservative investigative journalism. His name, Andrew Breitbart, and tonight he joins us right here in studio to talk about his brand new book, Righteous Indignation, Excuse Me While I Save the World. For the Breitbart.
Thank you.
Breitbart.com. We got BigGovernment.com. We got
Big Hollywood.
BigHollywood.com.
We're going to take on education next. Go after the teachers and the union organizers. I mean, we're going to put them on.
You want to really save the world.
I do. It's not just me. It's a citizen journalism revolution that's going on right now, and I'm trying to be the Pied Piper to show you how. In the case of James O'Keefe, he took down Acorn with $1,400 to go city to city to city. The barrier of entry is negligible to have an impact in this political environment.
You tell those stories. It's a pretty good story how he walks into your office and he talks about, we're going to take down Acorn. And you said, no, it's bigger than that. We're going to take down journalists.
Yeah, we're going to take down the mainstream media. Yeah. I mean, look, why...
The complex is what you call it.
Explain to me why James O'Keefe or Lila Rose or some of these other heroes of the new media come to me in my basement instead of going to Katie Couric or NBC or ABC, because they know what they're exposing is corruption that is left-of-center corruption. So they come to a guy in a basement, and I say, we're going to expose that the media won't cover this story because they're part of what I call the Democrat media complex, the natural alliance of the Democratic Party, liberal politics, and the mainstream media.
I used the term in 2008 that media is dead. Media died in 2008. Old mainstream media. Well, it's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the NBC, CBS, ABC. They're contemplating whether or not they even want to keep their nightly newscasts on now.
Well, here's what happened. 20 years ago, Rush Limbaugh comes in the game. He acts as a checks and balance. Then Matt Drudge comes in 15 years ago, and then the blogosphere explodes. And all we did was ask of the mainstream media was to correct their bias problem. And when they didn't...
And Fox to that, and Rush leading the explosion.
Of course. But as a result of that, when they wouldn't correct themselves, citizens in the form of the Tea Party, citizens in the form of Hannah and James and people with video cameras going everywhere said, if you're not going to correct yourself, we're going to create a media in the wake of your incompetency. And that's what's happening. It's the most exciting time in media, and unfortunately the mainstream media is so upset about it, it covers it as if we're the villains out there.
I ask you, why all the personal stuff? I mean, there's too much information. You were...
In my book, are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about your book because I didn't know this about you. I didn't know you were a radical hippie.
I wasn't a radical hippie. I was a party boy.
All right, big party boy.
Yeah.
And you give the details, but there's a reason to your madness, because you advise people that want to get in this fight, you better be ready to be smeared, and you better tell your story yourself.
Well, the huge problem with the conservative movement, as I see it, is that most of the people have gone through the conservative movement, and they don't realize that there are so many people out there of value who are default cultural liberals. If you've graduated from a college, if you've watched MTV your entire life, if you've just gone to the movies, you're a default cultural liberal, and I was one of them, and I awakened to that. And what I'm trying to show people in the book is that 50% of the people that consider themselves independent or even liberal may actually be conservative, and what I want to do is awaken them by showing them how I awakened, and then what you can do about at least neutralizing the imbalance in the media.
You address the issue that if you're somebody like Andrew Breitbart and you're going to take on Acorn with Hannah and James, if you're going to take on the media, the complex as you call it in the book, you go into very specific details that, first of all, you're telling people that there are plenty of openings if this is what you want to do. But be prepared for, being demonized, beaten up, smeared, slandered, besmirched, and how to deal with it. Well, by the way, I think you've become one of the most hated men out there in the country today.
And I was always fearful. I'd go to bed at night thinking, I'm going to go on TV tomorrow. I'm going to go on the Bill Maher show.
I remember talking to you about this.
Yeah, and going on the Bill Maher show, and you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what if I say the wrong thing? What if the audience boos me? What if Bill Maher smirks at me? And I had an experience where Bill Maher smirked at me. The audience booed me the entire time. I was insinuated that I was a racist by Professor Michael Eric Dyson, and comedian Sarah Silverman, as I walked off the stage, went to my seat and went onto my seat and said, "Slimy." Worst case scenario. And then my family was in the green room, and it was like a funeral. And they said, I'm so sorry that that happened to you. And I said, you have no idea. I feel
that
like
liberated you.
It was liberating.
Why? Why did it?
Because
most people would do everything in their power to avoid that.
That's why people relate to Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
It's why they relate to Ann Coulter or Michelle Bachmann or even a Clarence Thomas, somebody who's been attacked
and
mercilessly and shows that you can survive. And that's why they try to destroy you, to demoralize others who would join the fight.
You know, it's interesting you say all this, because there's not a person that I know in the conservative. You told a very, actually, compelling story about the Clarence Thomas and how that motivated you to pursue this career. But it's interesting to me, over the years, I have a friend of mine here from Atlanta. When I left Atlanta, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said, you know, 1996 was a good year. The Olympics came and Hannity left. When I left Huntsville, Alabama, goodbye to the talk show host from hell. After you're called a Nazi and a racist and a bigot and a homophobe all these times, at some point, I don't care.
Yeah.
You get immune to it all.
Not only do you learn to be immune to it, you also find that people come out of the woodworks and say, thank you for fighting and standing up for what is right. And that is like manna from heaven. It's the greatest thing in the world. And I live in Hollywood, where I used to cynically think that Hollywood was...
You used to hang out with Laurie David and Ariana Huffington. What's up with that?
Well, we used to have an air kiss community, and we used
Why don't you air kiss the football?
Okay,
what's
like
an air
this?
kiss?
This is like...
You don't really kiss.
Right, yeah, you just like go like to the side like that. And I'm good at it. I live in Hollywood. But this is one of the most important things I need to tell your audience, is that since I wrote a book called Hollywood Interrupted with Mark Ebner, I used to think Hollywood was all liberal. Because I speak up for culture, these people come out of the woodworks. There are thousands of people in Hollywood, actors, writers, directors, punk rockers, people with mohawks, hip-hop artists who are conservative and who are looking for the moment in time that they can come out of the closet and fight the battle with us.
It's a great story and great advice for people that want to get in the fight. Righteous Indignation, there it is. Andrew Breitbart.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Appreciate it. And it's time now to check in with the one and only